Welcome to the NPTE podcast for physical therapists preparing to sit for the National Physical Therapy exam. From case studies to content review, we have you covered.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the NPTE podcast. This is Will Crane, your host. Thank you so much for joining me as we talk about what you need to know in order to absolutely dominate the NPTE. And let me just say thanks. Thanks for spending some time with me as we go through the content in this podcast. Thank you for the efforts you put into this. And most of all, thanks for just being a good clinician. I know that you will make a marvelous difference in, as I've said before, not only in your life, but in the lives of your patients. So we've got a practice question today. As you know, we're going through the FSBPT content outline. Just a quick note, those of you who are listening to this way down the road, past October of 2023, you'll note that the content outline is changing slightly for 2024. They are reducing the number of questions. They're making some story-based questions, which are essentially just you get a case and then you have to answer multiple questions to the same case. So in a sense, you're answering questions, but with the same stem rather than restarting every time you take a question. So they will reduce the number of questions slightly. They'll also make a slight change in the number of questions in each section. But generally speaking, the content outline will remain relatively unchanged for 2024. So again, those of you listening down the road, you'll say to yourself, all right, this same content, just slightly revised as far as the quantity. But today we'll be talking about the non-systems. I wanted to spend at least just a few moments on research and evidence-based practice. So as you know, on test day, you can expect somewhere between 3 and 5 questions related to research and evidence-based practice. And this is certainly not a large section. If it's one that I were to describe as, or I guess I would describe it as a section that typically gets students a little bit worried, just because there's such a wide variety of things that could show up in research and evidence-based practice. Mostly we're talking statistics and how to read research articles. So today we'll be going through a practice question that will help you with that process. And just a little willism here. I'd very much recommend that as you are working through research and evidence-based practice, try to just read a research article. And what'll end up happening is that you'll see terms and words that are perhaps unfamiliar that you don't use in your normal parlance. And so what you'll have to do is spend a little time reviewing the vocabulary, and that will get you most of those questions on the NPTE correct. Just having at least some cursory knowledge of what a research article is trying to tell you. So today we'll go through a practice question. We'll talk about a research or a statistical principle. But before we do so, just a quick reminder that we have classes ongoing over at ptfinalexam.com. You can find out everything you need to know over there. Let's see. Those of you who are listening to this, you're probably, down the road. If you're not at the combined sections meeting at CSM for this year, 2023, be sure to stop by every year, and you'll be certain to find us. Find PT Final Exam. We're always giving away some fun stuff. This year, we're actually giving away a free exam. So if you're looking for a free exam, you want to stop by and say hello, be sure to do so. And we'll be very happy to have you there and talk about the NPTE. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go through our practice question here. So as I mentioned earlier, there are somewhere between 3 and 5 questions related to research and evidence-based practice. And so here we go. This question, as always, I'll read it to you, give you a moment to respond, and then we'll talk about the answer. A physical therapist is analyzing a research study examining the effects of therapeutic exercise on lower extremity strength. As the patients of the study increased their participation in the exercise, their lower extremity strength saw a linear increase commensurate with the exercise. When describing the Pearson correlation coefficient, R, which of the following values represents this relationship? So again, talking about a research study examining the effects of therapeutic exercise on lower extremity strength. As the patients of the study increased their participation in the exercise, their lower extremity strength saw a linear increase commensurate with the exercise. When describing the Pearson correlation coefficient, which of the following values represents this relationship? Option 1, negative 0.8. Option 2, negative 0.1. Option 3, positive 0.1. And option 4, positive 0.8. So we got negative 0.8, negative 0.1, positive 0.1, positive 0.8. So the correct answer here is that positive 0.8. So if you're talking about something that has a strong positive relationship or a linear relationship, then you're talking about, well, I should back up. The Pearson correlation coefficient, it always is represented as values between negative 1.0 and positive 1.0. So negative 1.0 indicates a strong negative relationship. Positive 1.0 indicates a strong positive relationship. And then 0 indicates that there's no relationship between the two variables. So just trying to think of some examples off the top of my head as we're talking about this. So oftentimes they're listed like, as a person ages, what is their gait speed? So think about this. If you're looking at individuals over 60 years of age, and you had the x-axis, the age, so as the age increases on the x-axis, what would you expect to be the average gait speed for these individuals? Well, you'd expect as they age that the gait speed would reduce, and so that's what would be called a negative relationship or a negative linear relationship. So conversely, if we were to say, like in this example I talked about in the question, as you increase the amount of exercise, so number of minutes of exercise, let's say, as you increase the number of minutes of exercise, you should see an increase in strength. I mean, that's why we do strength training. So that would be an example of a positive relationship. And then you could have a neutral or no relationship, meaning that, like, I don't know, the day of the week that they exercised and what their strength measurement was. Like, there's no real strong relationship either way. It's not particularly related. So in this case, we're talking about a strong positive relationship, and so therefore the correct answer is 0.8. Closer to 1.0, positive 1.0, the closer you get to positive 1.0, the stronger the positive relationship is. The closer you get to negative 1.0, the stronger the negative relationship is. And then if you're right there at 0, then there's little or no relationship. So there you go. That is a question that they could ask you about the Pearson correlation coefficient, which is looking at the correlation between two variables. Just a reminder about your variables. You've got your independent variable and your dependent variable. So the independent variable is usually the thing that you are, like the, what do you want to say, the characteristic of the patient or the intervention, and then the dependent variable is the effect that the independent variable had. So for instance, in this case, therapeutic exercise is the independent variable, and then lower extremity strength is dependent on that exercise, and that's what you're examining as a part of the study. So the independent variable is usually the intervention or the thing that is being applied, and then the dependent variable is the measurement or the effect of that intervention. So that's just another example of independent and dependent variables. All right, so with that, we'll bring this session to a conclusion. Be sure to check out all of our other podcast episodes. There's lots going on over at ptfinalexam.com. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review, share with your friends. Be happy to connect with you if you've got any questions about getting our program into your school or working with us in any way. We can get you some sweet discounts as we get people into PT Final Exam. And honestly, I think as far as the strengths, we've got not only good content, I mean, certainly that goes, hopefully goes without saying, good content, but well organized in a cohesive and very useful way. And I feel like that's what sets us apart from others in this same field. So, all right, with that, we'll bring it to a conclusion. Have a fabulous day. Good luck in your studies, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks.
This podcast was sponsored by PT Final Exam, an awesome resource for NPTE preparation. From live courses to university cohorts, PT Final Exam has a package to suit everyone's needs. Head over to ptfinalexam.com to see the wide variety of NPTE preparation options.